Some say she is a protector, a keeper of nature and the powers it holds within. Others say she is a malevolent spirit, aimlessly wandering the woods, driven by things she cannot forget. And sometimes they say she is a divine being from an age long forgotten, a beautiful young woman, a beast, a shapeshifter, or simply the forces of nature itself. Hi, my name's Ray. Welcome. This video is part of a series where I explore and illustrate mythological figures. So, sit down. I'm gonna tell you a story. Today I chose a legend from Maramureș, the northwestern region of Romania, and the mythological figure is called Fata Pădurii, which literally translates to the girl of the forest, but that doesn't sound very dramatic, so we're gonna call her the daughter of the forest. Okay, let's get into it. Somewhere in Maramureș, far away from any town or village, from any sign of people, there is a path that leads into the forest. So you follow it, for as long as it remains beneath your feet. But eventually, the path disappears. And still, you continue. At first, nothing seems out of place, but it becomes harder to tell how far you've gone. And after a while, something feels different, quieter. It's almost as if the further you go, the forest is slowly falling silent until all that's left is the sound of your own footsteps. And that's when you notice it. A place that seemingly doesn't belong in the forest. Or perhaps it does, but you are just never meant to find it. It feels almost sacred. It draws you in, and as you look closer, you begin to understand what it is. A garden, rows and rows of carefully tended herbs and wildflowers, some familiar, some entirely unknown to you. All around it, the forest stretches wild and unrestrained. But here, everything is in its place. There is a quiet sense of order, the kind that doesn't belong in a forest. As if someone's been watching over it for a very long time. And at its center, something rises above the garden, some sort of structure, almost like a gate, but not quite. Beneath it, there is a table made of stone, an altar perhaps, and with it comes a distant memory. Stories told in passing of those who ventured far into the forest looking for a cure. They say this garden is filled with all sorts of remedies, herbs that can heal what nothing else can, and others with properties no one can quite explain. And if you seek to take something from this place, you can, but there are rules. First, there is a price. You must go to the altar and leave an offering for the keeper of this garden. Honey, milk, wine, even flour or bread. Then you only take exactly what you need. A careful cutting, never the root. You don't touch anything else. You don't linger. You don't speak. And whatever you do, you don't look back. You turn to leave, careful, quiet. For a moment, it feels like you've done everything right. But as you step away, the forest begins to stir. At first, it's subtle, leaves brushing against each other. Something moving through the forest. And then there's a sound you can't quite place. Something that echoes through the trees. It first sounded almost like the wind, but then it begins to shift. It almost sounds like a voice, someone laughing or crying, and it's getting closer. A shiver runs down your spine, and you hesitate, frozen in place. And then another sound, like footsteps, but heavier, getting closer. Why? You've done everything right. And yet, just for a moment, you look back. You knew better, and yet you still failed. And now, a figure stands behind you, unnaturally tall, almost human, but not entirely. She's standing on hooves, heavy against the ground. Her body is strong, not fragile or delicate. You feel as if she could crush you in an instant. But she stands still, watching, smiling. It is a strange smile, almost alluring. And then fear gives way to something else, something more like intrigue. You begin to notice the rest of her. Her white dress drapes around her form, clinging in some places and falling in others. It is light, transparent, almost weightless, like mist. It reveals more than it hides. And it moves with the wind, or perhaps it is the wind. There's something chaotic about it, untamed, like the forest, like nature itself. And yet, like the garden you find yourself in, there is a sense of order. You notice red and black threads running along the seams in patterns that feel intentional. And resting on her head, a crown of flowers. Beneath it, falling all around her, her hair, long, dark, never quite still. You remember now, the daughter of the forest, an old tale told in passing by lumberjacks and shepherds around the campfire. They say she was once an ordinary girl who wandered too far into the forest. She was lost and afraid, and just as hope was beginning to slip away, she met someone, a man. He seemed kind, so she trusted him. He asked her to follow. He led her deeper into the forest, to a place no one speaks of clearly, a house made of stone. And what happened there, no one ever tells it the same way, only that he said something to her in a strange, forgotten language. And when she emerged, she was forever changed and never found her way back. As for what's about to happen to you, well, that depends. They say she does not harm women and lets them leave unchanged. But men are not met with the same kindness. They awaken something in her, a desire for vengeance. And that's what she uses, desire, to draw them in, make them stay, long enough to understand what was done to her. And rarely are they allowed to return. Because by the time the forest falls quiet again, there's nothing left to return. So I chose this legend because when I was reading about this tall, strong, sexy, what was I saying? This legend has a lot of different versions. Sometimes the daughter of the forest appears as a beautiful young woman, something like a forest nymph. And other times she appears as an old hag, something more similar to a more famous Eastern European figure, Baba Yaga, Well, in Romania, we have a similar figure called Muma Pădurii, which literally translates to the mother of the forest. Though usually that's an entirely separate being. And sometimes she's not even a woman at all. She can appear as a horse or a goat, or even less solid than that, like light or smoke. So when I designed this character, I picked the aspects of her that I found the most interesting. There's no real consensus on whether she's meant to be beautiful or ugly, so I took that to mean that maybe she is beautiful, but more in a step-on-me in a way that society doesn't find fully acceptable. She is not exactly the embodiment of a traditional feminine ideal. She is wild, unkept, too tall, too strong, too much. And worst of all, she's in control of her body, of her desire, of her sexuality. She is a woman who knows what she wants. Vengeance. God forbid a woman lures men to their deaths once in a while. And speaking of that, as I dug a little deeper into this myth, I found out that this figure is very likely a remnant of a much older archetype, the Earth Mother goddess, often associated with figures like Cybele, an Anatolian mother goddess, or Freya, the Norse goddess, a personification of nature, fertility, love, and death. But of course, patriarchy doesn't let us have nice things. So, in time, she became something else, something dangerous, something to be feared, a vengeful forest spirit. Which frankly only makes her hotter. I enjoyed making this a little too much. Like, comment and subscribe if you want to see me do this again, and if you have ideas of other mythological figures I could illustrate, please leave your suggestions down below. But preferably, there's some sort of fashion element to them. I'm less likely to do monsters or dragons, maybe a fashionable dragon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.